Thank you, everyone. I have friends who have boa constrictors. I have a friend who has a chimpanzee, a dear friend of mine. I have friends who have alligators. And I have a friend who has a bear cub. But I also have friends who, and people that I've met, one is Tim Harrison, who seems to be against this based on his experiences. And I thought, I want to explore this world. Obviously, it's a fascinating topic. There seems to be a lot of information on both sides and a lot of debate on each side. And so I thought, I'd like to take this on as a documentary, and so I did. And that ended up taking up 2 years of my life to create, because the issue I found was so big and so vast, and there were so many facets of it that I didn't even realize until I got into it. So I came from a point of view where I wanted to see both sides. There was not an agenda behind this film. And these aren't stories told to me by other people. These are things that I experienced personally, and these are things that I experienced with owners and with dealers, because they were frank with me. One is there's a tremendous surplus of these animals in the United States. I experienced that. I would go and ask people, hey, how much would it cost to buy a tiger, do you think? First of all, they think it's illegal. That's not true. Secondly, they'd say $20, $30, $50, $100,000. Well, I can get a lion or a tiger for free. I'd be crazy in some sense to actually buy one, because I can go out and get one for free. The reason is there's a tremendous surplus of these animals out there. That's one thing that I found. Veterinary care seemed to be a problem too. Now imagine if you have a tiger, and we don't have to imagine too far. I mean, I know people who have tigers. You can't take that to the vet. Imagine if you had a lion, how are you going to take that to the vet? Imagine if you have an alligator. Imagine if you have a big snake. Imagine if you have a primate. Now you guys have to imagine, I don't have to, because I know the people who have these. These animals go without veterinary care. And it's too bad, and they tell me this, and you know what they actually do? They ask for help. They have a primate, they have a monkey or chimpanzee. It's gone the duration of its life without veterinary care, because you can't take call your vet's office, do an experiment. Hey, I have a monkey, can I bring it in? Or I have a lion. It seems like a joke. They'll think that you're joking, but say, no, I have a lion and it's sick, because I have friends who have sick lions. There's nowhere for them to go. So it would seem absurd if we were buying dogs and cats and we shut down all veterinary offices because they would have no care. But that's actually what's happening with the exotics out there, unfortunately. There's a lack of education and knowledge. A lot of the owners, I even heard on the radio today where someone had called in. They're like, just leave us alone, leave us alone. We're figuring this out as we go along. That person phrased it perfectly, because that is exactly true. And even the owners tell me that too. They're figuring it out as they go along. I'll get it, and then I'll kind of figure it out. But in the process of them figuring it out, they're putting themselves in danger, but also it's to a detriment of the animal. We don't know how many animals die and where they end up and everything while that person is waiting to kind of figure it out. There's a lack of support. And again, a lot of these people, they ask me, hey, what should I do about this? Can you get me a connection with that? Can you help me with this? Can you help me financially? Can you help me get some veterinary care, whatever? They're actually looking for help. I kind of like these people. These are people just like you and me, except they just have a tiger or a lion or a snake, and they're kind of stuck. The other thing that they ask for help with is, can you find a place for my animal? Because I can't deal with it anymore. I can't financially deal with it. And I also saw how these were sold. I saw cougar cubs at 2 weeks old, just sold as quickly as people can bring them out. I asked the guy, I said, hey, how is this as a pet? He goes, well, you get out of them what you put into them. That's the instruction that you get from a guy who's trying to sell me a cougar cub. Now, a cougar, pound for pound, is more dangerous and stronger than an African lion. And they're being sold, very quickly. I saw a lot of that. There is some support. I read an article in the trade magazines that sell these animals, and the article was the person felt compelled. Well, I finally have to write an article to address people's questions. Everyone's asking, what do I do about my cougar? I'm having problems with my cougar. And so this is in an article in a publication where they actually sell these things. And so this was to help tell people, here's how you deal with your cougar. The 10th question was, my cougar seems to be stalking my children. What do I do about that? This is one of the number one questions they get. This is the instruction that they get. You need to teach your cougar that kids are a no-no. And one good way to do that is to spray it with a water bottle and whap it on the nose with a newspaper. That's the expert advice. These people are looking for help. That's the help that they get. When this man was selling the cougars, the cougar cubs, he said that the cage came with it. I should have asked him if a water bottle came with it too, because I've got 2 children at home. But I saw primates being sold as fast as you could bring them out. Baboons, macaques, and some of them I thought were actually old because they had no teeth. They kind of looked like old men. They were just kind of gumming. Until I asked, the owners, and they said, well, that's because we pull all the teeth. They sell these monkeys and these primates and everything. They have no teeth, and they're actually still young. But the reason is it's going to bite you. It's going to bite you often, and it's going to bite you hard. The solution to that is not to not sell that macaque monkey or that baboon to a person. The solution is to pull all of its teeth. I saw a hyena sold in Ohio. Where does that hyena end up? Where do these cougars end up? Cougars are sold. I looked for someone who had a cougar that was 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. Where are they? Well, I know where one of them is. It's in Warren County, or multiple of them are because I saw it. And many other people saw it because it escaped or was set loose. I know where another one is, and you'll see it in a minute, where Tim Harrison comes up. It was found in downtown Dayton running loose. I know where some of the other cougars are. They're all over the country at rescue facilities. It's because other states have had to step up in rescue facilities to take animals from Ohio when the owners couldn't deal with them anymore. So they're stepping up. Alligators sold to children, by the hundreds, and these little alligators. Where do they end up? You take an alligator home, they don't even realize. I talked to one of them. I said, how old does that get and how big does it get? I don't know. Well, it gets to be 10 feet, and it can live properly for 50, 60, 70 years. I looked for the person that had the 10-year-old alligator, the 15-year-old alligator. They don't exist. That's because all of those alligators are in our creeks, in our ponds, and are freezing to death, or they're walking down main streets, because I have footage of that too. So where are all these thousands of, and they're also at rescue facilities. You can go there and see them where other people are cleaning up our mess too. Boa constrictors, venomous snakes. I saw them selling venomous snakes to young teenagers who actually didn't know what it was. I saw boa constrictors wrapped around kids' necks and stuff that were actually heavier than they were, that they had purchased at reptile auctions. And where do those snakes end up? Well, I know one of them ended up in a crib down in Florida and constricted the child to death. I know one of them ended up in Las Vegas. Actually, 2 of them. This is just during the 2-year period that I was shooting the film, and nearly constricted 2 other kids to death there. I know one of them ended up in Virginia Beach, where it killed the guy's wife there. This is just during the time of the filming. I know one of them ended up in a 20-foot one ended up in the parking lot of Dayton, Ohio, of a restaurant. I know one of them ended up in the Miami River. I don't know if you guys saw where they pulled the big frozen one out of the river. I know a guy who lost 300 boa constrictors while shooting the movie. Fortunately, it is up here in Ohio. Unfortunately for the owner, or for the animals, they all died once winter came. I saw people selling bears. I saw bears sold at swap meets, and I saw bears sold at like flea markets. Where do they end up? I found one owner that had a mature bear, but he had to give it away, and we had to find a place for it to go, and it went to a rescue facility out in Colorado. Because again, it just got too big and his health was poor and he needed a place for it to go. These animals end up in other states at rescue facilities to clean up our problems. But also you have bears. A bear ended up while I was filming on the porch of a house with a shot collar on it in Dayton, Ohio. All of this is legal, and there's no paperwork requirement for any of it for people to buy and purchase and to sell and dispose of these animals. And that was unfortunate. This isn't what I was looking for. This actually isn't what I anticipated, but it is what I found. And because I found that, I'm not telling you what to do with that information, but I do think it's important to have the information. Now that I have the information, I feel like it's important to share the information. These animal owners, I know them. They're friends of mine. I like them, actually a lot of them, but they're in a pinch and they ask for a lot of help, and they're having problems. And I experience that time and time and time again. These animals need help, obviously.